everybody? I'm Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and everybody's got a price for lazy booking. Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Lazy Booking. No, it's true. It's damn true. Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and if you want to know what's going on in wrestling, check out Lazy Bookings. Ho!
Welcome, one and all, to a brand new edition of Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants. They're located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA, and you can give them a call at 215-369-3300. Tax season will be back before you know it, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mayer.
All right.
Yeah, Mick took a bump.
Right. Took a little bit of a bump.
It's Mick. He always has to take a bump.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome back, guys. Lazy Booking live on A2DRadio.com. Live from the Real Talk Studios. Chrome, Maddie, Mr. I nicknamed myself over there. I'm going to just call you that so I don't continue to call you Maddie like I did the last two shows that we did.
So I'm not even Ryan anymore.
You're not even Ryan. You're not even Matt Ryan anymore.
All righty then.
Well, that's good because you can't trust a guy with two first names.
I'll tell you, it's a mess. Guys, welcome. Our Scanzano Sports poll question of the week, guys. We're talking SummerSlam weekend altogether. Which match will steal the show SummerSlam weekend? AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, Dolph Ziggler, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa, Daniel Bryan, Miz. A lot of other good matches that are going to be on the card. I'm actually really excited for SummerSlam this year. It's a 7-hour show, so there's going to be a lot to watch.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for the card. I do think that they've done a really good job at putting together a, almost WrestleMania level type of a card and getting a lot of big names on there. So, yeah. What do you got, man? Which match are you feeling? I mean, we're going to really dig deep into the matches, but off the cuff right now, what match are you feeling like is going to be the big match that's going to take away we're going to be talking about after this weekend?
Off the cuff for me, I am going to say I'm really excited to see the Daniel Bryan Miz match.
Mm-hmm.
Only because it's been built up for so long, and call me crazy, but you never see slow builds anymore ever in wrestling because it's a pay-per-view every month. So you always have, okay, we're going to do this month and this month, and we're going to try and cram a year's worth of rivalry tension within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This one, it has years tacked onto it. Even they went all the way back to the NXT days. I was like, I like this. I like the fact even on SmackDown, they dove back into the history of just piecing it all together, of leading us up to SummerSlam. I'm like, I wish more rivalries would be allowed time like that to breathe. Maybe that's a little too much time because of the injury, but obviously something like that. You never really get a chance to see it. Sometimes you do, like if the Rumble winner, they're waiting for their shot at Mania, you got at least a couple months there to build that up. But other than that, though, you don't get a year build or years of building to a matchup and a clash of two very phenomenal wrestlers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And before we do proceed, remember, guys, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, let's talk to the fam. Let's get your comments in. Join in on the poll question. We got a lot of topics today. We're talking SummerSlam, NXT TakeOver. We got some pretty big news points from this week. We're also going to talk Raw and SmackDown. Obviously Jim Neidhart passing away this week. We're going to address the Dave Meltzer situation in the second half of the show.
Yes.
So we'll definitely dig into that stuff. So please, guys, we look forward to talking to you. Big weekend. Ryan, which match are you looking forward to?
For me, and it's actually surprising.
Not even looking forward to. Which one coming out of this do you feel like I know we're going to be talking about this match?
Well, I mean, I think it's tough because I think the most news breaking, the most storylines coming out of the match will involve Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns.
Sure.
But when you talk about just the talk regarding the overall quality of the match, I think it's going to be Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, especially given, the two kind of outside factors, obviously Dean Ambrose and Drew McIntyre. I think there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of creativity they can put into that match, a lot of different spots, basically. Because Dean Ambrose, they're going to have to try and get him over again as with a big-time moment because he's been on the shelf for a while. So I think there's a lot of potential with that match, which is surprising. I would say that because I really like at the beginning of this feud, I really didn't. Not that I didn't care, but I was kind of underwhelmed because
Right.
I thought Seth was going into bigger and better things. But I think this is going to be really something we're going to talk about for a while.
Sure.
Well, do you guys think that, even though he did come back for that big pop, that at the end of Raw, do you think they still might try and turn Ambrose heel to cost
I
him
do,
the match?
but I was going to wait to bring that up until we
Okay,
get to
then.
the. But absolutely, I'm on the same wavelength as you.
Okay.
And this is why I think it's such a good card. Like Mike Mataraki puts in Gargano and Ciampa. Miss you guys tonight. We miss you, buddy. And I'm leaning towards him as well with the Gargano and Ciampa. But that's why you look at just the 4 matches alone that we've listed, and not even putting in Roman and Brock. Like the stories, the backstories, and the underlying kind of things that are involved in all those programs, it's just been so good as far as build up. I mean, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. Look at the background that these guys have, and this is the first time in WWE that they're getting a major program, and this is huge for them. Gargano and Ciampa obviously was supposed to be a triple threat match, but we know that these guys can absolutely knock it out of the park, and I expect that one of them, I'm not sure which one, probably Gargano. One of them I believe, is going to be coming up very, very soon. And I think that these guys are going to definitely put an effort in to kind of tie the bow on this feud as far as the NXT chapter of it, and really put on a show.
The reason why, because we've all been waiting for AJ Styles and Samoa Joe for quite a while. I really have, and I feel like I tried booking it on 19 different shows since we've been on here.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this match isn't at the top of my list as far as me looking forward to it or me thinking there's going to be the most storylines coming out of it, it's one of the few main event matches to where it's not finishing off a feud. It's a phase 1 of, I think, a 3-phase series. I think they're obviously going to be going against each other in multiple pay-per-views to come. So the reason why, and I don't want to call that match like the forgotten match because that would not do it justice, especially given the build-up in which they've done to it and obviously the history.
Sure.
But I think a lot of people have the understanding that this isn't this isn't going to be the last time we're going to see Samoa Joe and AJ face each other in the next handful of months.
Sure.
Because obviously the feeling, it's not even a rumor, is that, it's going to go to Hell in a Cell, then it's going to go next. So I feel like that kind of falls behind a little bit, and it also reminds me of what they did with Nakamura and AJ Styles to where their first matchup really wasn't that good compared to their next one and their next one because they were kind of saving some things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, though, one thing that AJ and Joe do have going for them is I think where Nakamura and AJ kind of had a bit of a mismatch there at WrestleMania, I think a part of it was because I don't think Nakamura and AJ hadn't faced each other in a while. It had been a good, how many, like 3-4 years since that Wrestle Kingdom matchup that they had.
I think it's been longer for Joe and AJ, though.
It has been, but I think the thing is, though, Joe and AJ faced off with each other a lot more than Nakamura and AJ Styles did.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something to be said, though, about someone who's wrestled someone so much that you can literally take a long break, come back and wrestle each other. Like, for example, you could take, I know you hate him, but take Bret Hart, for example. If him and Austin
Most overrated main eventer of all time.
But think about it. If you threw him and Austin into a match after taking like a 5 or 6 month break, they would still have a phenomenal match together because Austin and Bret are two huge personalities going into that ring, one being heel, one being babyface. It would still be a spectacular match at the end of the day.
No, yeah, I mean, for sure. And I do find it interesting that I don't think they dove enough into the backstory with them. That's the little bit of a disappointment that I have. You know, they went more with the family angle, which is, to me, it is what it is. But I mean, I like Joe's aggressiveness with AJ coming out, and I feel like the way that we've seen these guys work over the years for the WWE fan base that has not been privy to have been able to see those types of matches between these guys are in for a really big treat.
They are.
I think even if they do a 75% effort, Ryan, because they're saving it for, other matches and payoffs, that's still going to be a very high level
Absolutely.
matchup.
I mean,
you know?
AJ.
Fuck the Meltzer scale. On the Chrome scale, you'll still get at least a 3 to 3.5 star match, in my opinion.
I mean, AJ and Joe. I mean, their B game is better than most people's A games.
Oh,
So-
for sure. And again, with them, I could still see them absolutely balls to the wall going at it, because for years and years they had matches, and almost every match was different than any other match they had before. Because these guys are pros. They know how to work the ring and tell a different story.
And also, like I said, they know each other very well from
Yeah.
all years of wrestling each other. It doesn't really go away, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in that. But you know what? One thing though, the reason why I don't think they used any footage, obviously, of their TNA days was it may be possible that Anthem doesn't own that footage.
They do. They own the whole TNA library.
They do.
The
Well, I know
entire-
that they were selling pieces off of that footage for a while there when Dixie was trying to get rid of the company desperately.
Yeah, but if you look back at like the AJ Styles, something else to wrestle with. I mean, during the prime of those feuds, they were using footage from there. So
okay.
I'm sure that they do.
Now,
All right, then.
does any part of you guys kind of worry, and not to compare to the Nakamura AJ Styles feud again, but there were a lot of criticisms with that whole match and feud because they couldn't use the same movesets as they did in previous matches because obviously it's not under the WWE umbrella.
Right.
Does that concern fall under the whole Samoa Joe and AJ Styles thing? Because, like, I always bring up the Muscle Buster, which they don't really have Joe used anymore.
Right. Well, you broke Tyson Kidd. You ended
Yes,
Tyson Kidd's career.
exactly.
With it.
So there's a lot of different move sets, and obviously because, first off, AJ Styles is much older now. So, obviously he's more limited than he was in 2007, for example, in TNA. Does that have any worries, in your opinion?
Much less than it would with Nakamura, because the difference with the way Nakamura worked in New Japan to WWE is it was a true strong style. And you could tell, even from the way he worked in NXT, that, and there had been a report that they had asked him just to kind of tone it down a little bit for safety reasons. There's a little more free reign in New Japan. WWE does take a little more precaution as far as risks. And I think that showed, especially if you've seen the previous matches and that strong style that they worked. So I think that affected it. As far as Joe and AJ goes, they could still work. They may not have the same moves, but it's not like you're talking about totally changing somebody's style. You're just taking a move or two away here and
I agree.
there.
Well, what's interesting too is that there are since the last time they've wrestled, there's a lot newer moves in the repertoire that haven't been utilized in that rivalry before. Like obviously AJ has the Cap Crusher and such like that. They didn't have those originally when he was in TNA, and then when he went to New Japan, that's when he learned that, and he was able to take some stuff out of strong style and apply it. Joe, his style's kind of the same still, but there's a few other modifications here or there that I don't think he's really had a chance to utilize either. So I think they'll probably figure out a way around it.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that you're going to, and that's a great point, is things may not, there may be moves that weren't performed or that they did perform previously they can't now, but they've also added things over the years, as they've gained more experience and worked other places. So
Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about this card. There's so much to talk about, and 7 hours worth of content. So not including NXT Takeover. So
Well, to your point, I looked at this earlier, and there could be more, obviously, but as far as strong chances, there's 4 matches that are big-time matches that have a very good chance of resulting in a heel turn.
sure,
That's not very common at all. And they're all, I mean, we're not talking about pre-show matches. We're talking about top of the card, legitimate heel turns.
Well, let's dive into Raw and SmackDown a little bit, just kind of some of the major points, because I think with that conversation we can probably sift through a little bit of that. I mean, obviously for one, the big Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns the promo that Roman had,
Awesome.
and Paul Lesnar. By the way, this was an awesome segment for all parties involved, right? Perfect go-home segment. But the way Paul Heyman, god damn, he's so good. And the way that was done over the last 3 weeks to pull that off, the crying last week, then the footage we didn't show you, the cutoff where he's like, well, maybe, and then he comes out, and it was like, it was almost believable for a second. But, Paul Heyman's always been a weasel, and it was perfect for his character. But Roman kind of shoots him down, and I loved how he went back to the lineage of how he managed his father and all that.
And isn't that weird that Mike brought it up last week?
Yeah.
That he at one point managed the Samoan SWAT team, and then he brought it up, oddly enough.
Went back to talking about when he was traveling with them on the road. It was beautifully done. And, I mean, I think it's fair to say that barring some very unusual finish that they book, we're not going to get not a heel turn, but I thought maybe Paul Heyman would get more involved with Brock losing. I don't think we're going to have that. I don't even know I'm not even totally convinced that Brock's going to lose yet.
Really? See,
so report is that Brock is going to sit with WWE officials before SummerSlam.
Like 3 years,
a couple
3
of
hours
hours
before.
beforehand. And that the finish is not so cut and dry. And I've been said, did I say it was last week or 2 weeks ago? I said I'm still not convinced that Brock's going to drop the title yet.
See, it's funny it's funny you say that, because after watching that segment, I had the exact opposite reaction to where I'm thinking to myself, well, there's two levels to it. Number one, if they were going to finish at SummerSlam, like this whole segment was their version of what they could have done at SummerSlam. They could, because in my opinion, if it was going to be all along that Paul Heyman was on the side of Brock Lesnar, they would have waited to do this scenario that night. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't do it twice. You know what I mean? Because that's anticlimactic, and it would just completely ruin a great pay-per-view moment.
Right.
In the middle of a match. So I don't think whatsoever Paul Heyman is siding with Brock Lesnar. I think that's gone. I think that's
you
out.
mean Roman Reigns?
No.
Oh, you still think he's going to end up?
They're splitting. I think they're splitting.
All right, so are you going the route of possible cash-in Kevin Owens, new Paul Heyman guy? Because that's where I'm thinking you're kind of going.
Well,
now.
Here's the thing, and this is where these meetings before SummerSlam pays out. And obviously the report, is they don't know what the finish is going to be. And remember we talked a few months ago about there being a possible clause in Brock Lesnar's contract about maybe he's not allowed to lose clean and all that stuff.
Right.
So I feel that there's three ways it can go with it. Mainly two, but I'll go three because it involves three separate guys. Roman, Kevin Owens, and Braun Strowman. Those are the three factors in this, okay?
Oh, for sure.
I believe that it's either going to end up being at SummerSlam or the Monday afterwards. You know that mace that Paul Heyman used? That's going to show up again, but he's going to use it on Brock Lesnar. Because
it could be.
I found it strange, and I'm not saying he's never done it before in his long-time career. You never really see Paul Heyman use the props. You never usually see that. And usually when they do it, when you see a prop this day and age in WWE, it's going to come up again and again. It means something.
Well, what I'll say is, as far as his WWE tenure, he never did, because he carried that cell phone around for years
correct.
and years and did use that as a prop.
Yeah.
But to your point, no, you're absolutely right. It's interesting. There's a lot of different factors. I'm going to dive a little more into that when we get to the actual predictions.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right. So many factors. Again, to me, how long has it been since you guys see me actually excited for a pay-per-view? Like actually sitting here talking about, like, I'm excited to see. I don't even see a bad match on the card, even the undercard for me for the most part. I'm pretty excited about just about every match that's going down.
This is a pretty solid pay-per-view.
It feels like a WrestleMania.
Yeah. They finally convinced us, and if they convinced us, they convinced a lot of people, obviously, that this is truly a top 2, top 3 pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They've been trying to get us to think that for years. They've finally done it now.
Yeah.
Well, now the real question is can they deliver?
And I don't think it's by accident, and you're right. And I think that they will deliver. I don't think it's by accident because they're going to start doing the stadium shows with SummerSlam now. Mm-hmm. As far as what it's looking like, this will be the end of the Barclays Center for these kinds of events because these big 4 events now, I haven't heard about Rumble, But I know with Survivor Series, I know they're going to start pushing things to outside arenas.
Could you imagine the Rumble in an outsider? Oh, that's going to be fun.
Oh, that would be insane.
Well, they already tested it over in Saudi Arabia.
Was that outside?
That
was
that
just a
stadium
Mecca. That thing
is
was
technically
just, yeah.
outside. Yeah, it's outside. I don't think there's a dome over that stadium.
Now, I must say, and I'm not going to give full kudos to WWE because, to Maddie's point, they still have to deliver. This Sunday. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of potential with this. But they've delivered and built a fantastic card without using guys like The Undertaker, John Cena, Triple H, The Rock.
Yeah.
They've had years ago. They had to rely on at least one or two of those guys to really sell.
Yep.
They didn't need to do that, so kudos to them.
Yeah, that is true. That is one thing when you look up and down this card, it's like none of it's that way, and Brock doesn't really fall into that category since he's so hated now. I mean, yeah, you could throw Ronda in there, but since she's already a developing talent, she was going to be on the card anyway. So,
and to be honest with you, I don't care that John Cena or I don't. In years past,
it mattered.
It mattered.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they don't matter. None of us are, but I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, they've been trying to build up the young core for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Brock Lesnar, a champion who shows up 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And I'm jacked up for that match.
Yeah.
I'm jacked up. I'm telling you, I'm shocked. I'm really surprised.
I say it every time. And people hate that I say it, but I say it every time. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, whether you're pissed off that he shows up 3 times a year, whenever Brock Lesnar is on a card, it feels like a big ticket, big money match.
Everyone watches.
And right now, it feels huge. Be honest with you, it's feeling really good, and I'm loving the build. As far as Roman and Brock goes, this has been the best month of a build of anything they've done to this point.
100%.
And I will say a couple years ago when they did the whole backstage vignettes and we're kind of going at it the first time that Roman, I think it was 31, went at him, I actually enjoyed that build a little bit to that. But I thought it put Roman in a really good spot as, building to be in the class of Brock. But, man, I think this has been easily, beautifully, absolutely fantastically built up. Let's see. What else did we have on Raw? We had the clear huge thing was Sasha and Bayley. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to be like, what?
Hey, what?
You sold that well.
No, I mean, absolutely the return of Dean Ambrose. Building through the show, is Seth going to show up? Because Seth's he's been in, was it Japan or China?
He was in China.
I think he was in Shanghai, right?
Yeah.
He was in Shanghai promoting this event they're going to be having there. And, he's on a time crunch, and he had travel issues. And, again, the way that was built up.
And I just wanted to say we should also hold a memoriam for Dean Ambrose's hair, since that is completely almost
took it
gone
off his
at
head
this
and
point.
put it on his face.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to jump the gun. I mean, he's gonna do what we all think it's time. It's got to happen. I mean,
his look alone looks exactly like it. Let's be honest. We're gonna talk about it. We think he's gonna turn heel.
Yeah.
He looks like a heel when he came out. I said the first thing I said is, he looks like he's going to be going heel. And I like the different look, by the way. I like the not dirty tank top and all that shit
with
on
the
it.
leather jacket and all that.
I think that he's going to need that. He needs to have the intensity that he came out with. He looks refreshed. He looks jacked, by the way.
I was going to say, yeah.
Right?
He did the same Seth Rollins workout that Rollins did after he came back.
Well,
no, I'm joking. But
yeah.
I'm guessing because they both got huge after obviously their extended times on the shelf.
Hey,
obviously.
man, HGH is a beautiful thing sometimes.
Maybe, but I'll tell you what.
Allegedly, reportedly, everybody.
He looked super jacked. He looked rejuvenated a little bit.
Yeah.
The time off was probably good for him, and hopefully it humbled him a little bit to be like, because I think he gets very lackadaisical, and it gets very repetitive and boring.
I think that happens to a lot of the guys too. Because have you ever noticed that?
I haven't seen it happen to Seth.
Well, not to everybody, but it happens to a lot of people where you see them bust their ass and they do these great matches in NXT. And yes, I know they try to keep them separated, and it is booked differently than it is in WWE. But it almost feels like the moment they come up to WWE, besides the terrible booking, I understand that would piss anybody off. But it's almost like they go out there and they somewhat half-ass it. It's just like, I've already made it to the WWE. Why should I care?
Well, Austin called him out on the podcast, and it didn't change after that. Not
Well,
at all.
listen, let's all pray that he turns heel and he cuts down a few times on the middle rope clotheslines.
Oh God.
Because that's
I
literally the worst
forgot
thing
about that.
in
I
the
know.
entire world.
How many? We used to do the over/under. How many middle rope clotheslines he was going to do?
You did
17.
I'm going to read the Facebook comments. Frank's I can't read because
The emojis.
yeah. So if somebody can pull it up, like if you can on Facebook real quick,
Yeah, it does the same thing for me.
'cause I don't want to be rude. So what Chuck's was doing was every time I couldn't read one, I said, Chuck's read this comment for me. David Rosca says, "What's up, guys? I'm ready for SummerSlam."
Hello, David.
He follows up, Braun Strowman will win the Universal Championship. Absolute possibility. Greg Malakovic chimes in, says, my boys, Seth and Mr. Show Stealer himself, but I think all choices have a legit chance as well. Dean was channeling his inner Triple H. He was yoked. And then he has a comment you're going to have to read for me, too. Because I can't read it.
I hate the new Facebook thing.
Why? Why do they do
Because
that?
it's Facebook.
I'm trying. Let me see if I can pull up.
HOD Radio, Matty.
I am. Gonna pull up-
I'm just busting.
If you
Yeah,
hit
I know
the
you're
if you
busting
hit the
them.
see more, I'm not asking to see more emojis.
No, I know.
Or stupid smiling.
Well, because they
laughing
think,
faces
oh,
and
wait,
crying
you're
faces.
engaging? Here's 7 options. Here's a face. Here's a
Stupid
face.
dickheads.
I don't know.
annoying.
No, I'm just giving you a heads up. I don't know if I'll be able to translate Frank completely because I don't speak emoji.
Frank, just text me what you were saying. Just text it to me.
Just giving everybody a heads up. I don't speak that language. It is very foreign to me.
All right. Well, I can't read Greg's other comment.
Greg,
either.
text me as well.
Is that also?
Shorten your comments, guys. Put them in 2 comments.
Just put one word for every message.
And please no emoji-based
Frank
ones.
said, I don't need emojis. I have swag.
Whatever that meant. Anyway.
Back in 2011. Okay.
Swag.
Oh,
So I'll continue on until somebody can pull up Facebook and do it.
I think Frank is coming
There he
to
is, Frank.
give a translation in
Frank's-
person.
Frank's
break-
bringing me the computer to read here.
Just breaking
Go
the
ahead,
fo-
Frank. Do
Just
it.
breaking the fourth wall. All right. Hello.
Hey, yo. Sorry to bother you at work. Oh,
You
where'd it
really have to
go?
read your own
I am.
comment.
It's like I haven't seen you guys in forever. Give me Joe, AJ. I would like to see TNA get their moment in the sun at the Summerfest.
Hey, while you're at it, why don't you read Greg Block?
Yeah. What's Greg saying?
Might as well.
Which
yeah.
one?
Scroll down further.
Nope, that's at the beginning. Seth and Mr. Showstealer. Dean was here we go. And I don't know if you talked about it, but Renee was awesome on the commentator's desk. Love me some Renee, even if she's Canadian. Laughing face emoji.
Perfect. Thank you, Frank. Dynamite drop in, Frank. We appreciate that.
Okay.
You
so,
got the comment read firsthand by the man who left the comment.
Yes.
I can appreciate that.
He's our translator for the
Greg said,
evening.
"What's happening here?" Greg, Facebook is screwing me right now. I can't read comments that are beyond 3 lines.
Where the hell did he come from? He came from the freaking. What is he, Sting?
Listen.
He came from the rafters.
Listen, don't ask questions. Don't. You don't want to know the answers.
I think he was
That's
wearing
all.
black too.
I know.
He was wearing the black and the white, yes.
Good stuff. Well, at least it wasn't like the mannequins thing that they just dropped from the ceiling,
Oh,
which was
God.
in poor taste after Owen Hart.
Oh, God, yeah, that's right.
Real poor taste.
Good job, Eric Bischoff. Really knew how to send
man.
that one home.
Chris Pappas says, "Is that Ray Romano doing a Scott Hall impression?"
Very well done.
that
Very
was
well
good. That
done
was
on
good.
that one.
Very
Bravo,
good.
sir.
Pappas, you're fantastic. I love you,
That was
buddy.
good.
Um,
Oh, how do we even rebound from that? Where were we?
We were talking about something with Raw and Dean Ambrose having his head nearly shaved.
So obviously would we all agree that the 2 best segments of Raw was obviously the Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar,
sure.
and then obviously Dean Ambrose coming back.
Well, one thing I do think gets underplayed, though, is the way that they had built up Ziggler during that entire show where he was just being all smug and just being a prick and just going through the contract and everything. I was like, I really do like it because remember how earlier the comment was Shawn Michaels and Diesel, I saw that during this episode where it's just like he had his hair down. He was just being the pretty boy prick. They're like, this stupid thing. Meanwhile, his muscles just back there is just like, yeah, that's stupid. What are you worried about that for? It's like, I like it. I really like the way they're going in that direction with them.
I feel like I'm like the odd man out, and I say this knowingly because I know that what Ziggler's doing now is probably the best stuff he's done in years, but they made me not care about him for so long
It's hard.
that I still don't care about him.
Well, you know, it's
Like, I know it's going to be a phenomenal match, but I just don't. And I'm looking forward to the match, but like, I'm not impressed with Ziggler because I hate him so much now.
Well, you know, the sad thing is, and like I said, because the more I think about it, I'm still surprised that that match was my answer to the poll question.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same way about Dolph. And the only reason why I feel that the product is going to be great, other than the fact, I mean, they're great wrestlers. No one is saying they're not. But because I'm such a Drew McIntyre fanboy, and I've wanted Dean Ambrose to turn heel for almost a year at this point, more than a year, that's what makes me invested in this match because there's so many possibilities. And to your point, to where you're not the only one who isn't really, I shouldn't say doesn't care. Well, no, I mean, I really don't care about the whole Ziggler thing, which is a shame to your point because he is doing stuff that's really good.
It's been great.
But the sad thing is it's because he's overshadowed by McIntyre. Because
In
it's
a lot
either
of ways.
because it's based off of what he's doing right now, and everyone knows it's only a matter of time before McIntyre becomes the bigger star out of the two.
Sure. I agree with that. Absolutely. It's the reverse of Shawn and Diesel, though,
Yep.
because Diesel was the one that was eventually forced down everybody's throats, but you always knew that Shawn was the guy who was going to be the guy, or not, maybe not the guy, but could be a guy.
Mhm.
And you were just waiting for the shoe to drop, and it finally did eventually, but took a while to get there. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad for saying it, and believe me, I'm not a naive wrestling fan. I recognize wholeheartedly everything that he's doing. He's been phenomenal. I just can't get invested in him because I don't care. But I am invested in this match and this build-up.
Is it sad to say, though, that I think what really, unfortunately, hurt Ziggler in the long run is that he never left WWE for a period of time and came back stronger than when he originally was in WWE? Because that's what happened with Lashley. He leaves WWE, comes back stronger. It happens to a lot of wrestlers. They leave, they come back stronger. Some don't come back at all.
Well, I think they had a shot at it a year ago, or what was it, about a year ago or so, when he kind of dropped the show stealer gimmick and he would come out and do the silence thing. But I thought that was corny as hell. Like, they dropped the ball. They brought him back way too quick. And then when they did, it was just super, super cheesy. I think the first one was good. And then after that, it was the same thing week in and week out. It was just lame.
Well, first off, you shouldn't feel bad about saying the stuff about Dolph Ziggler because the criticism of Dolph Ziggler is not his fault. We all understand it's WWE's fault. It's the creative team. It's the writing because I'll go all the way back to when he cashed in on Alberto Del Rio, to where you look at that stadium, you look at the crowd reaction. I mean, he was the most over guy in the company.
Yeah.
That was their chance. Then they formed what I thought had great potential with the team with him, Big E, and AJ. That was great. They didn't do anything with it. It was short-lived. Then he just went back to good old Dolph Ziggler, who's a mid-card guy who can wrestle a little bit. That was their thing with him. And then when he comes back, you're alluding to when he came back as well in the Royal Rumble, where he was not only returning there, he was number 30. They used a number 30 spot on him. And he does the freaking the silent thing. And then that's an opportunity to where if you're going to use a number 30 on somebody, okay, you're doing something with him. They use a 30 on him, and 2 weeks later he's in a mid-card match losing. There's just nothing. There's no consistency with what they do with him.
And that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, this-
where
well,
there's no consistency at all.
What the things I buy into the most with Ziggler is when he's worked with Miz.
Mhm.
Always loved everything with Miz, regardless of if I wasn't invested in him. As soon as he worked a program with Miz, I was all in on that program because I know that and it shows when you have a chemistry with a person in real life, which clearly they're best friends. You could see the way that they trust each other and they can work and do lots of really great spots in the ring, and every match is different and tells a different story.
Well, let me ask you this, because it gave me an idea. Why in the hell have they not been a tag team? And tell me that would not be an absolutely fantastic tag team.
Because I believe that Miz is beyond a tag team at this point.
I don't think Miz has been in a tag team since
Show Miz?
Morrison. Oh, no.
No,
That's
no,
right.
no.
He was with
Show
Big
Miz.
Show. I forgot all about
Well,
that, honestly.
I'm not talking about now, but I'm talking about when Miz was in between. They had nothing to do with him. Right off, he was coming out of the whole Ric Flair, protege thing when he was using the figure 4. They didn't know what to do with him.
Oh, and he was a baby face.
Yeah, it was definitely an opportunity.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
my only point. No, they should not do it now because Dolph Ziggler is not on the same level as Miz as far as character. Miz is a maiden card type of a guy. Dolph, no disrespect to him because it's not his fault, but they've missed the window.
Well, that's why I always thought, he would have benefited if he had just walked away from WWE, even if he goes to, a TNA, or he goes to a Lucha Underground, or he wound up going to Japan and doing his work there.
I think he'd be really good in Lucha.
Yeah, he probably would have been.
Even more than Japan.
Probably. Yeah.
Impact, I think it would just be super cheesy and wouldn't do him any good. I think he would be really good in Lucha.
If he had gone to a place like that where the cuffs would really have been off of him and he would have been able to do the things he could have done and he would be able to have the matches like, say, with a John Morrison or Mundo or whatever the hell he's calling himself.
Johnny Impact.
Whatever he's calling himself these days. He changes his name every 5 seconds.
I know.
But
Johnny Nitro.
Yeah. But he could have had great matches with him or with any of the Lucha Libre stars that they bring in. He could have reestablished himself and came back stronger in WWE. Now, I'm not saying the writing team couldn't have botched that up because they could botch up anything. I mean, they've pretty much damn near were this close to botching up Bobby Lashley, but now they've finally pulled back on that. But that's the thing that happened with Drew McIntyre. He left WWE, came back stronger than ever, although they screwed it up a little bit there at his first run. A little bit.
You're saying his very first run?
Not his very first run. Kind of as they went along, he kind of just wallowed a little bit out of that period of time.
You're saying the not now since he's returned from NXT. You're saying back 3MB and all that stuff.
Yeah, back then.
I think a lot of that was on Drew, though. I feel like he needed to learn. I think a lot was given to him and a lot of pressure was put on him from the get-go. And I feel like it was a lot for him to take. He needed to go elsewhere and get more experience. He needed to be humbled a little bit. And then the way he, when he left, there was good stuff in Impact at times. And what he did in Impact was actually very, very good.
Him and Lashley.
Him in EC3. He worked with Matt Hardy. He did a lot of really good things in Impact, and I think working with those kind of guys and veterans, I think really benefit and having a little more freedom to learn who he is, fine-tune his character, I think did a lot of really good for him.
And I think, to me, that just seems like that benefits some guys. If they've wallowed for so long in WWE system because, they got nothing for you, you're trying to do something, but they won't let you go all the way with it because you can't do that on their television. Yet, on a place like Impact or Lucha Underground or something like that, you can do that.
Well, the cool thing with Impact, too, and again, I'm saying that loosely, but what they do now is it's not just like TNA Wrestling and Impact Wrestling. They partner with other companies around the world. So they give their talent a chance to go down to AAA in Mexico and work in front of those kind of crowds and learn from those kind of guys and go over to Japan and work over there. Go up to Canada and work up there. So they move their guys all over the world to work different events and then go to Philly and work like a House of Hardcore show. And they implement that into their show. And it's great exposure for them and for the talent to be able to develop.
Yeah.
And I got to give them kudos to that. They're not just trying to make it their thing. Now, WWE is a different story, and rightfully so, to where what people don't realize is that when people bitch about WWE, they don't sit there and say they're like the other wrestling companies. They know they're a different product. They're an entertainment product. They are, to use the word, they're sports entertainment. They're professional wrestling with an entertainment edge. And that's how they're going to do. If you want the pure wrestling, there's other opportunities to watch other things. There's other alternatives.
Yeah, I think that, though, that it helps establish the idea of, okay, this is a tough, beat you up kind of guy, tough beat you up kind of persona that sometimes WWE, with them fiddle fucking around with you all the time, it just that goes to the wayside and you can't get it back.
Uh-oh.
Foles is hurt. He's in the tent.
Oh, he'll be fine. I ain't worried about him.
What?
Sit him the rest of the preseason. We're good.
Oh, okay, it's the Eagles. I have no idea what
Sorry,
just
guys.
happened.
We got the Eagles preseason game on.
Literally had no clue.
The thing we'll round this out because I want to move on. I will say this, and this is not one of the reasons I hate Ziggler is because I do believe that he bought into which he should. I mean, I get it. The show stealer. I think he oversells everything. There's times to do it and times to reel it in a little bit, and he never does it to the point where it distracts me. So I stick to that. It's still part of what he does.
Well, the same could be said for when Rollins first showed up. He would do all the dangerous spots when he first came into WWE.
But he didn't oversell.
He didn't oversell, but he would do a lot of the danger spots.
It's not the spots. It's the selling that pisses me off.
I got you, yeah. But
it's like punch to the face. I'm going to flip over 3 times. Like, come on, man.
Well,
like,
I mean, he is trying to channel his inner Shawn Michaels, oversell
He
up a
is.
storm,
He
you know?
is.
So there you go.
There's only one guy that can get away with that, and that's HBK.
true.
You're absolutely right. Hitting Facebook again. Frank Vespi says no. There's no Ray Romano, only Frank Vespi. Kevin Godwin laughed at that. David Ross says Dean Ambrose is an annoying idiot, and intergender matches should be banned. Why should intergender matches be banned, David Roska?
That is interesting.
That's a
I
very,
could absolutely, totally disagree with that.
that was such a random take,
It is
too.
a very random take.
That's an
I'm
interesting
curious
hot
why,
take.
because I think that they're very entertaining. I thought that the Mixed Match Challenge had a lot of entertaining points to it. There was comedy spots, but there was also good matches with good workers.
Arguably the best match of WrestleMania was
An intergender match.
Just
so
saying.
I'm curious with that, and I agree that Ambrose's previous run, he hit that point where I was over it. But I'm sitting back with I'm giving it an opportunity to develop a little bit. But let's move on. Do you have anything on the Facebook or on the YouTube?
Currently, no, I do not.
Oh my God, where's Why Society Wrestling? Why is he not joining us this week?
probably watching the
Let me
Eagles.
refresh it just
Probably
to double
watching the Eagles,
check.
you're probably
but-
right.
Yeah, but right now I got nothing on YouTube, so
Oh, all right. Well, screw you guys on YouTube.
I don't know. We got to join them in the second half.
Yeah. But moving on, SmackDown. We'll hit the highlighted points. Video packages for Miz and Bryan, absolutely spectacular. You hit it on the head earlier, kind of going through and really going through the history. And I loved how they broke it into different segments. Hey, this is it. And I loved even just the graphics of it with kind of interchanging the pictures of through those different levels of the feud. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought that both guys really told the story from both ends where you can kind of see, okay, Miz is that arrogant guy who was, it doesn't matter how many years you've been here. I got here before you. I'm the pro. You're still chasing me all these years later. For everything you accomplished, I'm still the guy on your mind and all that kind of stuff. And I loved that. And obviously Bryan kind of going through the history of it and talking about the arrogance and where he came from and what he came back for. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, I absolutely loved every second of it. And it's kind of crazy when they were going through the change of the pictures and you go back to how far back. It's like, oh, my God, just how much the WWE's changed since they started their quote-unquote rivalry way back in the day. But I do love it because it built up everything for all the success. They both have pretty much similar success, mid-card to world championship success. So I really love how they've boosted this up, plus also all the comments and snippets that were made through social media and through all the promos that Miz used to cut on him when he was GM. Those were fun.
Yeah, great. Rosca says, you're right, heel Chrome. It's okay, my bad. Listen, man, if that's how you feel, that's fine. I mean, I want to know why you feel that way. I'm curious because a lot of good things have come from mixed matches over the years, and Ryan hit it right on the head. The jump start, the push off of Ronda Rousey came from a phenomenal performance in a mixed match. How many times have we seen Stephanie McMahon put on amazing performances in mixed matches? I'm just curious.
Hell,
Daniel Bakley, he gives us a emoji face with hearts in the eyes. We love you too, buddy. What else do we have from SmackDown? We have obviously the Women's Championship. Is anybody not convinced that well, probably not. I'm 100% certain that Becky is turning heel in this match.
You
Somebody's
know where I'm
turning heel.
standing.
You think Charlotte's going to turn heel in
Listen,
this match?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's gonna be weird. I'm in the middle. I don't know, but somebody's
Oh,
turning
Maddie,
heel.
come over to
No,
my side.
No,
It's
because
getting closer.
Here's the thing, though. It's like it makes sense that it would be Charlotte, but it'd be such a huge swerve if it was Becky. You know, so it's just like I can understand the logic of doing either way. I really, honestly could. And somebody's turning heel on somebody. I don't know who, but it's happening.
But so I feel now, though, that. And we'll get. I'll save it for the predictions then, because it's going to
there's
probably
so many,
result in my
yeah,
predictions.
there's so many, yeah.
Well, listen. Let's jump into SummerSlam. Screw it. We've hit the main points.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we
we're
go.
going to continue to talk them as we go through. Maddie's got the match card. Let's
do.
run down the match card. We'll give predictions. We're probably not going to get through. Well, we might get through it before the first half. If not, we'll
We
continue
can
it
just
on the
split
other
them.
side.
Yeah, we'll just split them.
We'll split it up a little bit, and then on the other side, we'll continue with the rest of SummerSlam and NXT. Go ahead, Maddie. Let's start with pre-show matches.
all right, so start off with the mixed tag team matchup: Andrade
Sorry,
Cien
Roscoe.
Almas
Speaking of,
and Selena Vega versus Lana and Rusev. And by the way, SummerSlam is happening on Rusev Day.
Yeah, and actually, happy Rusev Day to you guys today,
you
too.
too,
Oh,
buddy.
you too, buddy.
Thanks. Enjoy your Rusev Day.
Yeah, I will.
I was convinced that Almas and Zelina were going to win this match, but I'm kind of leaning the other way just because they've constantly gotten the upper hand, and I feel like at some point it has to work for Rusev and Lana but then again, I don't know. Aiden English again. I'm actually really torn on this match. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to say Zelina and Almas because I don't think they're ready to have him knock down a peg yet.
Agreed.
And I think that Aiden English is going to play a factor in this
Yeah,
yet again.
I'm going to go that route. I'm going to say he's going to try and help, and in his effort to help, he's going to harm, and Selena and Andrade get the W for it.
See, I feel like he's going to turn. Oh, everybody can turn heel. God damn.
It's going to be 9 heel turns, which I'll love because,
Hey,
I want to turn everybody
Hey, man,
every other
It
week.
is a Vince Russo, everybody turns heel pay-per-view evening we are going to have here on this Sunday evening.
Would be a good reset.
Daniel Bakley asks thoughts on Gargano and Ciampa. We're going to talk that in the second half on YouTube, buddy, when we do our NXT rundown. But I think we're pretty excited about it. I'll say that. And he also says Almas and Vega win the match.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning that way. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Lana and Rusev win, though, because I expected them to get the upper hand at some point, and they just haven't at all.
I also have a bad feeling that in the coming months, Aiden English is going to get released. I just have a feeling. So I feel like they're going to milk this whole thing and then kind of.
He could, but he's kind of over now.
I like him.
And I
Don't get me
actually
wrong,
think
I
he's
like
a
him.
pretty good worker.
He is. I like him a lot. I just have a bad feeling.
I mean, I don't think even if they take him away from Rusev and Lana, they should at least do something with him. Like,
but is there
even
room to do it, though? This
on the
is my-
peripheral, there could be something that they could find something to do
on
with
a
him.
2-hour show where they're cramming in a lot of stuff anyway?
I mean, they do cram some stuff in, but I don't know. They made time for the fashion files and everything like that. I'm sure they could figure out something for English.
This is my only point. I look at him in a way, and it's not a comparing of characters because they're different, but they released Damian Sandow right after a hot little, matchup with The Miz.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was completely untouchable. I'm never going to compare Aiden English and James Ellsworth, but they do kind of do this with the whole sidekick roles to where they'll milk them for 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe a year, and then.
Difference with Ellsworth was there was never an intention to keep him
Agreed,
around.
and that's why that's like an
fans
aggressive
kinda-
comparison.
That one's a little tougher. The
Yeah.
fans kind of made a spot for him, and he's stuck. And listen, once it wore its welcome out, they got rid of him, and then they bought him back for a hot minute, and people were into it for a month or two, and then they said, "Hey, man, here's a quick payday. Come back, and then hit the road.
Yep.
You'll make some more money for yourself on the Indies because you were just here now."
Mm-hmm.
One hand washes the other. So But I think we all agree.
Yep.
Almas
Almas.
and Vega. Okay.
Needs it more.
Yep. Move
Next, Maddie.
The Raw Tag Team Championships, the B Team, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel versus the Revival, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson.
Why was this a match on Monday?
I definitely think it's going to be the B team that wins.
Me too.
Again, I like both teams. I'm loving what the B team's doing. I don't think they do enough with the Revival.
Nope.
I think the Revival, in actuality, if you look at an actual tag team and a skill set, to me, are a top 3 team in the entire company.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least on the main roster. Well, you know,
Yes.
pretty much the entire company, because I don't really, other than 1 or 2 teams in NXT, I don't really go crazy about their tag team division, which is how they do it all the time. It's 2 months build with 2 teams or 3 months.
Yeah.
Then one of them moves up.
I mean, honestly, I think the Revival, unfortunately, their injuries killed them at the beginning because right when they came up, one got hurt, then the other got hurt, and it was just like nothing could get going. And then since then, they've just kind of wallowed in the undercard on Raw.
It delayed their whole run by almost a year and a half, to be honest, because
Yeah.
they were both major injuries.
And they're so damn good. It sucks because they are such a classic throwback to me, they're Brainbusters 2.0.
Yeah, they're like
They're Tully and Arn all over again.
they are, and it's a shame that that they're being so underutilized.
Yeah.
But then again, they're underutilizing a lot of tag teams.
Like they're a
on
more
Raw.
athletic Tully and Arn too.
True.
I'm just very confident the B team's gonna win. Number one, because they got new entrance music and they're doing they're doing the whole lucha type thing.
Yeah.
You know, the fan interaction to where they're not going to introduce that and have them lose. That means they
for
want to
sure.
have them on TV for a while because they dubbed in the automatic the crowd sounds. Do you notice that? Like
yeah.
in their music, there's already. So I don't think they're going to have them lose.
And I love the music. B team, go, go, go. Yep. I'm a fan. I love it.
It fits.
I buy it.
Nothing like Power Rangers to get you going on that one.
Yeah,
That's pretty much
I
what
buy
sounds
it. So I think we're all on the B team for that one.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right,
Maddie?
moving on.
All right, to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, Cedric Alexander defending against Drew Gulak.
Chrome was thinking, "Oh, am I interested?" And then he heard Drew Gulak.
I'd like Gulak to win, but
I'm going to go Gulak because I have not heard anything crazy about the Cedric Alexander run.
yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I just and again, in fairness, I don't follow 205 Live that much. I'll read about it a little bit, and I like Cedric Alexander.
Me too.
But I think Gulak is a star in the making, and I think he proved it when he worked with Enzo.
I see more about him on social media than I do Cedric, and a lot of it's from the WWE main pages, which is telling me they want more interaction on those posts, which shows, oh, look, here's somebody.
Well,
that tells me the belt's going
I
to go to him.
felt like when Gulak first came in, when they kicked off the
No-fly zone.
cruiserweight division, I felt like he was very vanilla.
Yep.
Like he was it's just like when they have the squash guys come in, like I didn't really like what was the personality. I didn't really love a lot of it, but I feel like when he worked with Enzo, he went like boom, like he showed there's a lot there and a lot that he can do, and he's a good worker.
Well, that's the best part of it too, because when he started out in 205, I immediately got what they wanted to do with him, with the whole no-fly zone for a better 205 Live, because he wrestled in CZW. That's the exact same thing he did
Right.
in CZW for a better combat zone. So it's like he just transitioned one from the other. I don't think it carried over completely because
it didn't.
Because
it didn't
obviously
translate well.
Yeah, not everybody saw that.
It came off
obviously.
very vanilla. Like it was just
Yeah.
very basic.
But when he did work with Enzo, people started chanting PowerPoint and everything, and it's just like it picked up. It's one of the few benefits that Enzo actually contributed to 205 Live. He helped get Gulak off the ground, pretty much.
Do we all think Gulak's going to win? Matt, do you think Gulak?
I'm going to think Gulak only because, and nothing against Cedric Alexander, he's a great athlete and everything, but he is too, you know how Gulak was vanilla? Alexander's too generic in a lot of ways. He's just kind of like, yeah, he's this guy who smiles and he comes out and he does a lot of flippy stuff. I'm like, amazing. I can go find 6 or 7 other guys right now that can go do that. Like, amazing, dude.
It is very true. David Rosca says, I love Mia Yim. Kick all the guys' asses. I love Mia Yim, too. I'm excited she's going to be back in the Mae Young Classic, coming back from a major injury. David Rosca says, Cedric the Entertainer Alexander. Daniel Bakley says, Gabagulak. I love me some-
Gabagulak.
You guys know I don't love 205 Live, but I love me some Gabagulak. And he says 205 Live has gotten a lot better. I've heard it. It's so much wrestling to watch. I can't. It's unfortunately it's on the bottom of my totem pole, especially now that I am starting to get back into ROH a little bit. Which, by the way, if you are watching ROH, the Nick Aldis and Cody Rhodes promo from this week was fucking awesome.
I'm excited to see that because they're going to have the all-in match for the NWA title.
Yeah,
so
that's
going
to be very good.
Is that the final pre-show match, Matty, or do we have one more?
Yeah, is Corbin and Balor on the pre-show, or is that actually
I think it's
on
a
the
main
No,
card
it's a
show.
main.
That's a main card.
Daniel Bakley says Ali is a better Alexander.
You know
That's
what?
a fair point.
That is a very fair point. I've not thought
there's
about
an
it like
argument
that.
to
Yeah.
be made for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a good point right there.
And I wasn't a big fan of his at first, but he's really grown on me, and he's put on a lot of really good matches.
So, singles matchup on the card: Baron Corbin or Constable Corbin versus Finn Balor.
This
gonna
is
be
the
worst
one that I don't
can't,
care for.
you know.
And I love this card. This is the one match I just don't
Is there
care.
a Phillies game on Sunday night? Because I might be watching
Thi-
it during this.
I'll be in the
match.
crowd.
No disrespect to Finn and Baron, but it's not their fault.
Well, it's okay
just,
if you have disrespect to Baron, but I mean,
It's just the freaking suit.
I
I saw Corporate Kane in 2013.
Finn, we'll just say Finn. I'm saying Finn.
yeah,
better be Finn. It
It
better be.
should be Finn.
Finn, and I'm moving on.
Yeah,
Next.
all right.
Next.
So, next up, SmackDown Tag Team titles. The Bludgeon Brothers defending their titles against The New Day.
I think that this might be where the breakup of the not a heel turn, but I think that this could be the start of the breakup of the New Day. I'm going to go with the Bludgeon Brothers.
Please, they got to do something with them.
I think that this is the time. This is when they pull the trigger, and you start maybe not the full breakup, but you start to see some dissension, some frustration start to happen after a loss.
It would make little to no sense to put the belts right back on New Day, because why? It just wouldn't make. I'm not even gonna go into it because it would make no sense.
Well, not only that, too, it would kill the Bludgeon Brothers and what little they have going for them.
I think they've been okay. I haven't had a major issue with them.
They need.
I'm not like crazy, crazy invested in them, but I think that the tag team landscape on SmackDown's been a little bit better, and I think they've done fine as tag team.
They need a
champions.
mouthpiece.
They do not have
They
one
wanna be-
because they don't have Bray Wyatt anymore to be that.
Like they're,
so-
I mean, I have to give them credit as far as in ring.
Oh,
They
Oh,
are
yeah,
there's no
nothing.
complaints there. Luke Harper's.
good
I mean,
lord.
phenomenal.
Luke Harper and Rowan. I mean,
And
they're
Rowan's
even-
gotten Rowan's gotten better.
and they're meant to be a tag team. Those two.
Oh, they're great.
But yeah,
Daniel Bakley says Stephen Amell versus Daniels.
Christopher Daniels.
Oh no. Oh, is that happening?
Is that a thing?
I think it is actually. Let me double check that though, just to be 100%
We'll check it on the
sure.
break.
Yeah.
We'll go back and we'll address it then.
Okay then. So are we going with Bludgeon Brothers on the SmackDown tag titles?
I am.
I am.
I am too.
Man, we haven't disagreed on anything yet, guys.
Well, we're not.
Oh, we will. We will soon.
I know we will.
We
I know.
will soon.
This is the undercard.
This is all the undercard, like,
so-
easy
This is the
shit.
easy
Yeah.
stuff. It's funny, like on the second half of the show, that's when we'd be like, "Yeah, how can you think like that?"
This is you start to figure out how much of a smart mark you are once you are able to tell the undercard without any problems. All right, so the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line. So we might have some disagreements here. Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens.
You know what? We're at the 1 hour mark, and I think this is
Tease.
a good
Got some
time
layers.
Tease.
to take our
Okay.
short break and go over to the other side because I feel like once we get into this one, we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah, probably.
We'll talk a little bit.
So, if you are on Facebook, if you are on Periscope, thank you, first of all, for joining and participating in the conversation. We hope the conversation continues because we got a wide open board on YouTube tonight.
Yeah.
Our YouTube peeps didn't show up, but we love you guys anyway. So make the jump. The link is at the top of the page. Jump over, join us on YouTube. I know Daniel Bakley wants to keep talking, brother, so You'll find us on there. Click that link. Maddie, give us a read.
All right, then. So this first portion of Lazy Booking was brought to you by Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs, located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com.
Continued SummerSlam talk, NXT TakeOver talk. We got Jim the Anvil Neidhart. We got Dave Meltzer and all that bullshit that happened. Guys, we're going to have a good conversation on the other side. We'll see you on YouTube.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lazy Booking right here on A2DRadio.com. Brought to you by Skinzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.skinzanosports.com.
We are back for the second half. If you made the jump from Facebook and Periscope over to YouTube, we appreciate it. We're going to continue our SummerSlam preview. We're hitting the good stuff now. We got through all the pre-show and nonsense.
Yeah, and Mick didn't take a bump this time. It was actually AJ.
I know. Jesus. Everybody's taking bumps because of Maddie. But yeah, no, guys, we're gonna continue to talk that. We're gonna talk NXT Takeover. We got some very big news points to talk about, so we're gonna dive right back into it.
Sure.
Maddie, we left off with Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens for the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm gonna let you gentlemen kick this off.
All right, then.
Mr. Sensuti.
All right, so everybody's going to pass the buck to me. I got it. All right, so Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. You know, I do like the line of thinking that possibly Kevin Owens could be the guy who takes a briefcase off of Braun Strowman. But again, I really want to see Strowman pull off something that nobody else can or ever will pull off, and that is win both brands' championships if the brand split stays. Or even go as far as to say, if they decide to say fuck it to the brand split and decide to put the shows together and just unify the belts, have Braun be the guy to do it, that's the way you can do something like that, or just have him carry both belts. And it's just like, who else can say that? He is the tank of the WWE. No one else held the Universal and WWE Championship at the same time and could defend them very well and very properly at the same time. Nobody else could. Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we proceed, Why Society is back.
Cool.
He said, sorry that I'm late. KO wins Money in the Bank and cashes in, makes a triple threat. Reigns pins Owens to protect Lesnar, and Reigns is the new champ, which sets up Reigns versus Owens at Hell in a Cell, as has been reported, David Roska says Braun Strowman will cash in on Brock Lesnar. Also, not to shortchange him, Brad Ryer from Sports Hounds on Monday night also chimed in earlier. For the poll question, he said Ziggler and Seth Rollins is the match that he believes is going to be the match of the weekend. Mr. Brodo, what do you think is going to happen here in regards to Braun Strowman and one Mr. Kevin Owens?
So, I would much rather have Kevin Owens win this match, go on, and do more exciting things later that night, but I do not believe Kevin Owens is the one. Because I go back, believe it's about 2 years ago now, not the same type of a storyline, but there was an involvement when Kevin Owens won his first world title with help from
Triple H.
Kind of not a manager, because Triple H isn't a manager, but he got help. He was a part of some kind of group. They've kind of done this before with Kevin Owens. I don't believe they will do it again so soon. So, and also, I don't really I understand the whole thing of kind of crushing a guy down, then building him back up, and they're doing it with kind of goofy promos, obviously, and they really haven't done much with Kevin Owens except launch him off of a steel cage last month.
Which you predicted, by the way.
Yeah, listen, I was due, I guess. So
you booked that perfectly.
Braun Strowman is winning this because Braun Strowman is the most over male wrestler in the company, bar none, in my opinion. Except for Ronda Rousey, if you just eliminate her, he is the most over wrestler, period, in my opinion. I think if you go with Kevin Owens, it's kind of obvious if you're going to go away from a Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar type of a thing, because it's kind of a double swerve of, it's not going to be Roman or Brock, it's going to be Kevin Owens. I think this reads Braun Strowman winning this match. I really, really do.
Well, I've said it. I want Strowman to hold the briefcase, win Royal Rumble, and be in both title matches at WrestleMania, or be in one title match and then cash in on the other one. That being said, I don't believe that's going to happen.
No.
I believe that Kevin Owens is going to win this match. I am sold on the possibility of him being a Paul Heyman guy, the next Paul Heyman guy. And I think that's going to be predicated a lot on how this meeting goes with Brock Lesnar pre-SummerSlam as well.
I'll save it for there's a big point I have on that, but I'll save it for for the Brock Lesnar Roman match. But
Sure.
there's something interesting with that.
Yeah, but I'm going to go Kevin Owens in this match.
Okay.
All right. I got Braun and
I have Braun.
Braun. Okay. So,
Screw you guys.
Well, here's the other thing real quick. If Kevin Owens wins, this is my other point. If Kevin Owens wins, I believe it becomes obvious that Kevin Owens is the guy.
That is
That's
true.
my main reason.
Yeah.
but that's the thing too. I think he's got a point there where WWE doesn't want this show to be predictable, and if you do let Kevin Owens go over, it does kind of become predictable at that point where it's like, oh my God, when are we going to see it now?
The only way this would work, and they would never do this, is if Brock and Roman go off first, Kevin Owens and Strowman go off after them, and the cash-in comes on Monday. That's the only way they could do it. But if the realistical thing is that Brock and Roman, they're going to be the main event. They're the last match. You have Kevin Owens and Braun obviously earlier than that. If Kevin Owens wins that, in my opinion, it then goes, okay, we know what the finish is either going to be on Monday or it's going to be that same night.
Okay.
All right, then. So, on to the United States Championship, Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy. Nakamura.
This
I
might be
think
the easiest one.
I think that's a safe bet on that one.
Nakamura.
Yeah.
Move on.
Turn the page.
To the Intercontinental Championship, the other second title. Dolph Ziggler with Drew McIntyre in his corner versus Seth Rollins with Dean Ambrose in his corner. Now we can let the debate begin.
I don't know that there's much of a debate because I absolutely think that Ambrose turns on Seth, costs Seth the Intercontinental title, and they kick off that program.
Well, more of a debate of how do you think it will happen?
Oof.
Oh, that's actually a great question.
Okay, well, how about this?
I'd have to have time to think about it. I'd have to book it in my head. I don't know.
All right, then. So
I think there's going to be something where there's probably going to be a ref bump. Ref's going to be down. McIntyre's going to get involved. Ambrose will probably clear McIntyre, and then he'll probably hit a dirty deeds on Seth.
To be honest, Maddie, since you asked that question,
Go right ahead, Brodo.
the way I book that is Seth Rollins winning. If I want to be real, I might have just switched. The way I book a really good Dean Ambrose heel turn is having Seth Rollins win. They're both celebrating. Dean Ambrose then attacks.
Could do that too.
I would say.
And then kicks, and then my only issue with that is if you do that, you need to get right into Seth and Ambrose, and you still have Dolph in there where Dolph has to have his
Compromise. You can still have Dolph win and have the Ambrose heel turn. Here's how. Accident. Ref is down. McIntyre has gotten involved at some point. Ambrose has neutralized him. Ambrose is in the ring. Ziggler, he's trying to get Ziggler. He doesn't get Ziggler. He gets Rollins instead. Ambrose somehow, shenanigans, whatever, Drew takes care of him or whatever. Dolph gets the pin. Referee comes from his bump, does the slow count. That's it. Ziggler wins. Ambrose plays it up like, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to get you. Then he turns on him right there. Kind of play on the idea that, okay, maybe they're going to keep the Shield together, then take it right from them.
See, I think it's a little too much, though.
I think they got too many layers.
I mean, I definitely agree that the ref bump's going to happen, and I think that Ambrose will probably clear out McIntyre, and then I think they'll do something. They'll get all revved up, and they'll do the Shield thing like this, and then I think he kicks him in the gut, and then he drops him with the dirty deeds.
You know what? I just flipped. It literally 15 seconds ago. The two scenarios in my mind are, number one, if Dolph retains, the heel turn from Ambrose does not come on Sunday. It goes on Monday. Because I don't see a way where WWE would do it to where Seth loses and then those two are bickering then. It's just too much. You know what I mean? Then Ambrose attacks. It would need to come very randomly. So I think in that case, on a Monday, afterwards. Those two were standing in the ring, and then Dean does it. But my quote-unquote official prediction right now is that Seth Rollins wins, and then Dean Ambrose attacks him afterwards.
See, my only combat against that is it could be misconstrued as it's not a heel turn if Seth's giving him a hard time and he just gets frustrated and takes him down.
I agree.
So I think they're going to make a clear I personally think they're going to make a clear heel turn, and Rollins is just going to get hit with the dirty deeds at some point.
But my question is, how would you book that?
As I said, ref bump. Ambrose clears out Drew McIntyre. Rollins clears out Dolph Ziggler. They're in there. They're pumped up. They're fired up. The crowd gets nuts. They do the Shield thing mid-match.
Okay.
They do the Shield thing like that, and then all of a sudden, Rollins turns around. Ambrose turns and hits him with dirty deeds.
That makes sense.
And then walks out. Does a stare down and walks out.
I can live with that.
All right, then. So we have Ziggler retaining the Intercontinental Championship, or do we have Rollins
I have
winning?
Ziggler retaining the Intercontinental.
I'm gonna go with Rollins.
So you have Rollins winning it back. I have him retaining. All right, then. On to the SmackDown Women's title matchup. Here's another one that we're going to have an interesting book finish for. Carmella defending against Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair.
I've swayed my prediction, but not my outcome. I believe that somehow Becky and Charlotte are going to cost each other. Carmella's going to retain. They're going to be standing in the ring, and Becky's going to get pissed off, and she's going to take out Charlotte and do the heel turn. I believe there's going to be multiple heel turns. I think those are the two heel turns you're going to get.
Maddie?
Mine is I do see Carmella squeaking out the win.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe this one's going to be tough because I was playing it. I was on the fence. You know, I will go with Becky. No offense, Brodo. I understand why. I understand why Charlotte is a perfect heel because she is. She's a great heel. But I think Becky does need a remake after all the things she's gone through because her being a babyface kind of ran its course. It's time for her to be a heel. And I think she does turn on Charlotte. I think it could go pretty much the way you had it laid out, where she just attacks her at the end of the match.
All right. So.
Okay.
I have Becky Lynch winning.
Okay.
She's getting her moment. It's a feel-good moment, obviously, because she's very deserving of it. We've waited for it for a long time. Her best friend, or at least we thought, Charlotte Flair, comes to congratulate her, and oh, wait, no, heel turn Charlotte. Thus ruining Becky's moment.
Okay.
Because it is all about Queen Charlotte, after all.
That is true.
They go on a little feud. Carmella gets her rematch 2 weeks later on SmackDown. No harm, no foul. We move on. We go into a feud. And there we go.
See, I think Charlotte steals her moment because she puts on the armbar on her, and then Charlotte breaks that up. Charlotte ends up taking a pin after that. Like, she breaks it up, throws her out of the ring. Carmella then gets Charlotte somehow from behind. Charlotte takes the pin immediately after, and then that's taking Becky's moment because Becky was this close yet again, and Charlotte's the one that took it from her. And then they're all buddy and they give a hug and then clocks her right in the face.
Well, I think we can all agree, though, there's going to be a spot where at first Charlotte and Becky are going to get rid of Carmella, and then, or at some point in the match, Carmella's going to be down, and one of them's going to go for the pin, and one of them's going to interrupt it, and they're both going to have a stare down of like, what the fuck are you doing? You know? Because I love it when they do that. Like, it's a triple threat match. What part of that did you not understand? I love that spot because it just makes no sense to me sometimes.
And if you notice as well, on back-to-back matches as far as predictions, I have the same finish, if you think about it. Celebration, then heel turn. So it shows I'm confident and I'm locking it that one of them's going to happen. So at worst, I'm going to be 50-50. At worst.
There you go.
See, I'm saying one's mid-match and one's after the match. Real quick on the Facebook, Y Society says, I think Jinder will cost Braun the match. KO can already talk, though, as in he doesn't necessarily need Paul Heyman. But also, There's another gentleman that Paul Heyman worked with by the name of CM Punk, who also could talk, and it still put him on another level.
Yes, sir.
So I don't think that that's much of a factor. He said, I think KO only wins with the Money in the Bank to take the pin in the main event.
That's such a waste.
It is. But David Rosca says, I love Mia Yim when she beat up all the guys. He said that on the other thing, but I think he was talking to Y Society. Y Society says, Ziggler either retains and Dean turns after the match, or Dean costs Seth the match. Rosca says, I want Seth Rollins to be the Intercontinental Champion. Y Society then goes on to say Dean tries to help Seth to his feet after losing, only for him to turn instead. Could be.
Could be.
Rollins is above the Intercontinental title.
Agreed.
I agree, but I don't agree because I think the Intercontinental title has been brought back up to a very high level.
It's the highest level it's been in quite a while.
So, and I think that he's a big proponent for that happening. I wouldn't say he's totally above it, but I think he's ready for the next step. Y Society says Becky won't win because they wouldn't have put Charlotte in the match if Becky was just going to win. I agree. That's kind of one of the things that swayed me. So he says Charlotte winning and Becky turning makes more sense. Charlotte has no reason to turn because she got handed the match. Becky would because she got it taken from her. Fair points.
That is a very fair point.
I disagree because her being in the match and her getting that opportunity, her spotlight is still stolen if she doesn't win. Like, regardless of if she was gifted the match or not, she's in the match. She's there to win, and her quote unquote best friend was there that stole her spotlight. I think that's enough there.
But that's another thing, too, also, with Carmella, if the route goes that we believe where she wins, who does Carmella face after that? I just realized that, like, who would be next in line to face Carmella?
I think Asuka could come back.
She could, but do you think they will do that again?
Oh,
All right.
Chrome, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. I don't disagree with you, but no.
They got to buy time between now and Survivor Series.
I'm not
That
worried
is
about
true.
buying time, Chrome.
I hear you, Brodo. I really do. That's such a waste of Asuka on that, too. But, it is what it is. This is WWE.
Y Society says Nikki Cross.
Oh, you know what? That
It's
is a possibility.
It's a very strong name to be thrown into the ring there.
Actually, yeah, we could see that happen the following Tuesday, where Carmella comes out and celebrates, and then Nikki interrupts.
Nikki makes her debut.
Yeah, that's quite a possibility.
I'm with you on Y Society.
Good call.
I'll go with that name.
Good call.
What are me for?
Well,
It's not going to happen. Charlotte's going to win. No, I'm sorry. No, she's not going to win. She's going to turn heel. Becky's going to win. So Carmella's not even in this.
All right.
So look at me.
I'm going to text you from inside the arena, Ryan.
Please, I won't answer.
Oh,
I won't answer.
are you gonna just ha, and then just drop it and just there you go? I was.
I'm
right.
going to take a video of the heel turn and send it to you.
Good.
All right. So, to the other women's championship, the Raw Women's Championship, Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey.
Ronda. Not even a question in my head. The whole reason they put the Money in the Bank on Alexa and then immediately had Alexa cash in to win is to give Ronda a very hateable, strong heel woman to finally win the title from. Absolutely, I think it's going to be Ronda. And if it's not, then I will go stick to my word that I said, and I will go all the way back to Money in the Bank and say that there was no friggin' reason for Alexa Bliss to win that match then when other people could have used it like a Becky Lynch. It only makes sense if Ronda wins this week.
No, I agree, actually, because why would you put the briefcase on Alexa for her to win it that night? You have to set up a big match scenario for Ronda. Alexa's the biggest heel you have. It makes perfect sense. You can't have Nia versus Ronda again because, as good as it was, it's Nia Jax or Alexa Bliss.
Just an outside thought from Y Society. He says they could even turn Carmella face and pair her with New Day to feud with Sanity since she was with them during the Mixed Match Challenge.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting thought. I just think that Carmella's such a strong heel now. I don't know that they're ready to do that.
That would be a complete swerve.
It would be
too much.
Be a little out of nowhere. I think
I like the idea, though.
Carmella's strong where she is. I know how good that Charlotte is as a heel, but Charlotte is a very strong baby face too. and there's a lot that they put behind her as far as empowering women and all that stuff and young girls right now, more so than a lot of the other females. Becky's the one that could make the turn right now and could use it.
She needs the turn. Is the best. Is the best.
But
way to say
that's
it.
an interesting thought. If you want to work it, where say Becky does turn heel, and she feuds with Charlotte, and she comes out of that on top, and now she's ready to go in a one-on-one feud again. But now you don't want to have heel versus heel. You could use that and turn Carmella face if you really wanted to, just to kind of counterbalance Becky. I don't think that's going to happen, but
No, I think they'll go to the old multi-woman route if that's the case.
Sure.
But yeah. So we're going on that one. Brodo, I'm going to assume you're going Ronda on this Alexa Bliss thing.
Well,
Oh,
no, I'm
boy.
joking. I'm joking. No, it's wrong.
Okay.
I was going to say, Ryan, turn your mic on.
Yeah.
All right. So Ronda all around the board.
Yeah.
On this one. All right. Next up, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. One of the Twitter poll matches.
I mean, is there a way that Daniel Bryan doesn't win?
Unless they want to try and prolong a feud, but then you'd have to bring somebody into that feud.
Like, there's a part of me that says the way they've built this and backed this story, Daniel Bryan has to win.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go be the guy to call the swerve, and I think The Miz is going to end up coming out on top in this.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree.
I think that Miz is going to find a way to get the W in this.
Yep.
And I think that you're probably going to have Brie Bella and Maurice somehow involved in this match as well, which again, by having a dirty finish, you can then prolong it to continue to go on. Well, this happened, yada, yada, yada. So,
Are you going to see another
Rosca
mixed
says,
match?
yeah, maybe another Why Society says, underrated opinion, I actually like Carmella as a face more than as a heel. I didn't think it worked, buddy. But maybe, she's come a long way since then. I mean, Charlotte sucked as a face the first time, went heel, and then she's been a phenomenal face since then.
See, I think what killed Carmella was she wound up on the show that Enzo and Big Cass weren't on. I'm like, that killed her babyface run pretty quickly.
Why Society says he has Miz winning as well. Rosca has Daniel Bryan. Who do you guys got?
I have, it would make sense for Miz to win through a dirty finish because you can have major pay-per-view matches for, what would you say? You going to think they're going to try and get 3 months out of this rivalry?
You might get a payoff maybe at Survivor Series, maybe.
So, yeah, I think that would be about, that'd be about like 3 or 4, somewhere around that range. I would say
You get 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get 3.
I think we could squeeze out a good 3. I would say Miz wins dirty, and then they prolong it to Survivor Series for the final match.
Sure.
Agreed. Miz.
All right.
Agreed, Miz.
Next up, the WWE Championship. The Phenomenal One, AJ Styles, versus the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe.
I'll make mine easy. I think Joe wins at Hell in a Cell. So I think AJ wins via a roll-up. It'll protect Joe.
Interesting. I do think that there's obviously clearly going to be a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe wins.
I won't complain.
I am going to go Joe on this one.
I think he chokes out AJ.
Yeah. I think they start to establish Joe as a dominant force on SmackDown.
I think AJ's going to go for the forearm, and Joe's going to somehow kind of duck it and swing behind him and catch him and then choke him out.
Yeah, I think, actually, it'd be real interesting if he figured out a way to reverse the Styles Clash. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't even know if AJ can get him up in a Styles Clash. He's a lot bigger boy now than he used to be.
He is, but that'd be interesting if he was able to pull that.
No, I think for him it would be the calf crusher.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a way that Joe can reverse the calf crusher to put him into the choke.
No.
So.
Yeah, it's a shame. If only there was a submission hold he could reverse. But anyway, no, I like that. I like that route. Okay, Brodo.
I just think Styles wins via roll-up, and then they're going to prolong it.
All right, then. So, next up, the main...
Hold on. Couple things coming in here. We have... Why Society is agreeing with Ryan Brodo, and he says, I think Charlotte has been boring as a face.
Thank you, Y Society.
Rosca says Charlotte Flair, 2-time SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Y Society says, I think AJ breaks Punk's record. I kind of was on that boat. But, first of all, Punk's record's been broken by Brock Lesnar. So it would be Brock Lesnar's record. If they weren't doing it with Brock previously, I absolutely think they would have done it with AJ. At this point, I don't think that that's going to happen. So I think that's why this is a perfect time to put the title on Joe. And there's only so many times that Joe can fall in one of these matches, or one of these big title matches at this point where he loses the credibility. And I think that this is the match that happens for him.
Trust me, I think Joe should win. I just don't think they're going to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. Rosca says Joe's going to make him pass out. And so Y Society says AJ should only lose at a Big 5 pay-per-view. This is the second biggest pay-per-view of the year at SummerSlam. So
he's saying that probably to me when I said Joe was going to win at Hell in a Cell. So he's associating Hell in a Cell is not a Big
right.
5.
Okay, that makes sense. No, I agree with you. I agree. If you're going to drop – with the run AJ's had, if he's going to drop the title, I would agree that I think it should happen now. Yeah. But, again – we thought Dolph Ziggler should have cashed in at the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania 29. He did it on Raw the next night.
And the Hell in the Cell match they could use as another element to kind of convince it more of, it's not just any ordinary match.
Right.
Yeah, but again, though, to go on Chrome's point, though, how many times can Joe slip on the banana peel and get himself rolled up or beat by somebody before someone starts saying, yeah, that's Simone's submission machine. Ain't that tough anymore, is he? Because AJ can beat him easy.
Listen, this will be the one match of the card where if I'm wrong, I'll be ecstatic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so final matchup for the evening. The WWE Universal Championship. On one end, we have Brock Lesnar, the longest reigning Universal Champion and champion period, versus the second coming of Christ for WWE, Roman Reigns.
Anybody?
Go ahead, Chrome.
I think Brock's going to retain the title. I think that Brock's going to retain the title. And I think that the Money in the Bank cash-in, regardless, I think if I picked Kevin Owens to win, right?
Correct.
Kevin Owens will cash in on Monday night. I think that Kevin Owens will cash in on Monday night, and I think that will be that.
Me or you, Maddie?
Well, I think Barclays Center will be burnt to the ground, so I don't think Raw will happen that week. But I would say Roman wins because he's not as hated now. And I will say this, it's like, all right, it looks like it's starting to work now. And I don't think it would be wise to kill Roman, by having him lose to Brock, because like you're trying to get him over and you're just starting to do that and you take it away. It's like not a good idea if you're trying this hard. It's time to, shit or get off the pot. Put it on Roman. If you're going to do it now.
Go ahead. I'll throw in my opinion after.
I am so unbelievably torn on this entire situation.
I feel like so much is predicated on the meeting 3 hours beforehand, so I don't know. Maybe this will help you. The more I think about it, I don't see Brock committing to show up on Raw the night after if he's not still the champion.
That I agree. That's one of the main reasons I'm extremely torn on it, because I absolutely agree with you. I also believe, like I said earlier, that mysterious clause that's been rumored for months about Brock can't lose clean, I believe it exists. I believe that actually is a thing. That's not just a made-up fantasy. I believe that would actually be in writing. So, the other reason why I'm torn, and it goes against my whole feeling that Brock leaves the pay-per-view as champion, I said it last week, and I still believe this, I don't believe WWE, on their two biggest pay-per-views in the same year, would end the pay-per-view the same way. With Roman Reigns going into a match everyone expects he should win, he will win, Brock nonchalantly beats him and walks out. I don't believe, regardless of if Brock Lesnar loses it the next night, I don't believe they should or would do that. But I also think there's a better scenario with him getting cashed in on the night after.
Right.
I believe that the potential is much higher on Monday.
I agree.
To where I'm extremely worried about what happens Sunday. My other thing is, and we joked about this earlier, I don't really believe WWE has 3 major swerves in one pay-per-view. And in that same pay-per-view, it's all main matches. I don't believe they would have 3 main swerves in the course of 2 hours. So and then the other thing is, they have 3 planned finishes. They don't know which one they're doing yet.
Well, not only that, too, it also depends upon the Money in the Bank match of who wins. You know, does Owens win or does Braun keep it? That also has a possibility of being a major factor.
Isn't it great that there's so much actual uncertainty for once? Like, legitimately, there's about 4 or 5 different directions that this could all go. And multiple matches have such an effect, not just storyline-wise, but just, again, that 3-hour meeting before SummerSlam could determine so much that hasn't been determined yet.
This is, you know what the funny part is? This almost feels like it's Survivor Series all over again. It's just like, you know what? Is it going to be where Roman just puts a sloppy sharpshooter on Brock and then Triple H tells him to ring the bell?
Good God.
Like, oh my God.
I thought he was going to go somewhere I'm about to go.
Screw job?
Well, no. I was going to say there's one outcome through all of this, because you made a good point. It's so great that there's so many possible outcomes, so many layers, because you don't see that in this day and age in WWE. The one outcome I would literally lose my freaking mind if I saw, and this would be in a negative realm of things, is if Roman just won clean and there's no cash in on Monday. Then I'm going to be very upset. Because then but here's the thing. It would make sense if they did that, because they've surrounded this whole bubble of, oh, it could be Kevin, it could be Braun, it could be Brock, oh, Paul could screw him, he could screw. This could be a complete swerve to cause excitement, make the crowd stay in it, to just have Roman win. This could be a swerve within a swerve. It's like the freaking Matrix. It's like Inception.
It's like WCW in 2000.
So my
Anyway.
prediction, because it is 2018, it is WWE, I believe Roman wins and he doesn't get cashed in on. I believe this is it.
So this is the moment where Roman finally.
This is
beats
it.
Brock.
To me, if Roman wins and doesn't get cashed in on, it's because Braun retains the Money in the Bank, and they're going to hold it out for even longer, possibly what we talked about.
fits
And that's
my-
why. Yeah, that
Which
fits,
fits my thing.
Because both of us pretty much have Braun
Yep.
keeping the briefcase. So it's like if he keeps the briefcase, it would make no sense. Because Kevin Owens makes more sense to just do a cash in either at the end of a match or in the middle of a match to sneak in with the belt.
Couple of comments before we round out. We're going to do touch on those 2 news topics because we're running over time already. But AJ holds it to WrestleMania and drops it to Cena so that he breaks Flair's record. This is why Society. And he says, what if Roman wins the title and Brock wins it back the next night?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that would be very interesting if that happened.
That would be like the swerve of swerve of
But
swerve.
Brock would actually have to wrestle on a Monday night, which hasn't been done in literally, 10 years?
If that-
he has not. Since any of this run, he's never wrestled on anything other than a pay-per-view.
God, if that happened, then that meme of Brock with his tongue sticking out smiling would just basically be through everybody's mind. Like, ha ha, bitches, I still got the belt.
Rosca says Strowman will cash in this Sunday. Why Society says Reigns is going to overcome the cash-in and Brock. And then he says, did you hear that WWE has 2 matches planned for it, a long and a short match depending on the crowd. So 2 matches that depending how the crowd goes.
That is another factor, too. How's the crowd going to react when Roman comes out?
I'll add this one wrinkle, okay, that gives me hope for all of mankind. I've heard 2 rumors in the last 3 days that WWE officials have looked in on turning either Braun or Roman heel in the next 2 months.
Sure.
That could fit. that could fit this Braun Strowman cash in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he cashes in, he would then have to turn heel.
No, he wouldn't.
I guess half is kind of the wrong word.
I don't even know.
He probably would.
I don't even know if Braun really falls under the definition of babyface or
No,
heel.
he's
Just Braun Strowman, honestly.
So that's just brace for impact, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a hell of a ride this Sunday.
Armageddon's
Man,
on the horizon.
We didn't even get through NXT.
No, not really.
You want to do a rapid fire? Just literally just prediction,
all right,
prediction,
Throw the
prediction.
matches. We'll throw the names out.
EC3 versus Velveteen Dream.
Velveteen.
EC3.
All right, I'm gonna go Dream.
you go,
NXT
Matty.
North American title: Cole, Ricochet.
Ricochet.
Cole.
Ricochet. NXT Tag Team titles: Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain.
Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era.
All right, NXT Women's title: Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane.
Kari.
I want it to be Kari, but I think it's going to be Shayna Baszler.
I'm unfortunately gonna say Shayna.
Oh, God.
They have a hard on for this
I
chick.
know,
I
I
don't
know
get
They
it.
do.
I don't
Well,
get it.
it's because they want her with Ronda up in the main roster. They want to build her up. NXT Championship: Ciampa and Gargano.
I wish we could have more time to talk about this. We didn't get the time because I want to touch on those news topics. But I'm going Ciampa, and Gargano is going to be coming up soon.
I will go with Ciampa.
Ciampa.
All right then.
We will really take time on NXT TakeOver, the recap, I promise.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we ran short on time because two things we wanted to mention. A, Jim the Anvil Neidhart passed away this week, 63 years old. Obviously, two-time tag team champion with the Hart Foundation, a member of one of the greatest factions of all time in the late 90s with the Full Hart Foundation. One of the most depressing pictures that was going around was a picture of all of them holding each other's arms up, black and white, and Brett's the only one in color because he's the only one that's still alive. Very, very sad to see that.
Yeah.
I know Brett tweeted out that he was very heartbroken, lost for words. So that was really sad.
Yep.
And for me, he's one of the bigger characters, personalities, I'd say, of the 80s and 90s. The trademark laugh and kind of, they were the epitome of the powerhouse and the technician or the speed guy. You know what I mean? That's what made tag teams run back then. That's what made to me it's still a great chemistry or a great formula to have for a great tag team. But let's be real. I think his greatest legacy is his daughter, who's an absolute Hall of Famer, who's a woman who has so highly looked upon and respected in her own right, and has become somebody who has given back so much. And I think that's a lot to be said for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we all, send our condolences out to Jim's family,
Yep.
Natty and Tyson and all them. And, it's very, very sad.
Yeah, it is.
We're not going to get the time we wanted on it, but quick thoughts. So Dave Meltzer this week opens his mouth in regards to Peyton Royce and discussing and really essentially what he said was that he thought that they were better in NXT. He doesn't think that it's working on the main roster. And then he got into this whole unnecessary conversation about their looks. And not just like, you talk about like people whose physique, like muscles change. Like, we talked about Ambrose bulking up. Like, sexual looks.
Yep.
And saying that she looks like she was lighter back then. And so obviously Peyton Royce fired back. She got wind of this, and Peyton Royce was not very happy about it and said to Dave, and I quote, "So what would you like me to have me do, Dave? Starve myself? This is how nightmares for young women start. The females in your life must be proud." A lot of people started chiming in on this. Charlotte, Peyton, you're smart, and beautiful, funny, caring, talented, and so much more. Love you, woman. Ember Moon, get 'em, girl. You're beautiful inside and out. Always have been. Can't believe that was even a topic of conversation. #iconic. Beth Copeland, who is Beth Phoenix. I'm sorry, but this makes me sick. Fit Finley, who said, I'm not sorry. In response to Beth Phoenix, I'm not sorry. It infuriates me when women are torn down, especially by some wannabe supposed wrestling journalist. Parasite. Peyton Royce, you're awesome. And you know how close he is with the young talent.
Yep.
Renee Young went off and said, what a true piece of sweltering hot garbage. You're an angel too good for this earth. He'd be lucky if you gave him the time of day, which you would because you're also a great person. Love you, girl. Set better examples. He tried to apologize. One of my favorite absolute comments was -6 stars, Dave. That was from Seth Rollins. And, I mean, you could see, go ahead.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
two things about the comment because I had heard it.
Tyler Breeze
prior-
put a bunch of tweets out on it.
prior to us coming on the show. So the first thing he goes on to say is that it's not working on the main roster. It was like, well, that's a lot of things with NXT because they get with the writing team, and the writing team don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
So that's usually what happens there. Secondly, she was lighter in NXT. And then, of course, his co-host, as you had pointed out, Brodo, went on to say, oh, so you thought she was hotter in NXT. First off, that was stupid for you to say. Second of all, on top of that, too, it's like, okay, so what at one point in pro wrestling does it matter if someone's pretty? This isn't the Divas era. This isn't the era where Trish Stratus is the women's champion, that they were hiring supermodels and they didn't know how to wrestle. Their job was just to look pretty in a bikini for the calendar, or for the bra and panties matches. That era's over. It's like, and also, if this was just a traditional wrestling promotion, why the fuck does the look matter? What matters is the product in the ring.
I think what this clearly showed is Dave Meltzer, who I am not a fan of Dave Meltzer. I've not been. I think he's wrong more than he's right, and for some reason this guy carries some weight in the wrestling business. And a lot of people seem to not like Dave Meltzer. WWE doesn't give him access to things because they don't care for him. But it's very clear that he is a very uninformed, very outdated, very closed-minded, idiotic imbecile who clearly is out of touch with the way society is, not just now, but really just in general. I mean, you're a wrestling journalist. It isn't your job to critique whether a woman is thinner or heavier. He started fine, and then he took it to a different level. And Brian Alvarez, I love Brian Alvarez, but Brian Alvarez didn't do him any favors as far as carrying that conversation on.
Nope.
But Alvarez also at one point towards the end of it, tried to steer him away from that, and he kept talking and adding little comments in. So,
well, the problem is the one thing I'll add with the Brian Alvarez thing, he shouldn't be trying to stray away from where Dave was going because he's the one who opened up the floodgates for Dave to do it. Dave, and it was a poor attempt by Dave, but he tried to keep it politically correct, but he made the mistake of even trying to go down that road, period. Once Alvarez brought it up, oh, they were better looking in NXT, opened up the floodgates. That was a signal to Dave of, oh, you said it, so I can say it.
Yeah.
And he just went too far with
And-
it. It's irresponsible and it's unnecessary.
and then to round up, I think with his apology was clearly another misinformed because he clearly wasn't getting it. Because
No.
he went in and said, oh, well, I'm sorry. Clearly, I think she's a beautiful woman. And he started continuing to go in and making it about her looks. And it's like, bro,
not the point.
You're missing the point. That's not your job to do that. That's not what this is about. And you went there when you didn't need to go there at all, and you're continuing to go there.
Well,
So
I don't know what possessed him at that moment where he said, "Oh yeah," and she also looked lighter in NXT. I'm like, what went through your fucking mind
Yeah.
at that moment in time that made you thought it was okay to say that and that there wouldn't be backlash, even if it ended after that? Someone would have said something like, so what? You're body shaming Peyton Royce?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, thought you had standards. But you know what? Meltzer only appeals to online smarks.
He's an idiot.
And most of them don't really know wrestling either.
I don't care.
So
I don't care
I've
for
never
Meltzer.
really cared about Meltzer either. I don't
Yeah.
even really follow Meltzer at all. So
We'll end it with this. This is the same guy that throughout the entire 80s, every year on his running list, ranked Gorilla Monsoon as the worst announcer in professional wrestling. We'll end it with that. Guys,
Okay.
thank you for joining us. I'll be at SummerSlam and NXT this weekend. I'm excited. I'm going on Saturday morning, spending the weekend up there in Brooklyn. But please, whatever you're doing, whether you're going, whether you're watching at home, enjoy the show. Maddie, give us a read, and then I'll send us out.
all right then. So Lazy Booking was brought to you by, like always, Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants, located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. And you can give them a call 215-369-3300. Tax season will be back before you know it, so be ready, be prepared, and call Gibson Mare.
Enjoy your weekend, guys. Mick took another bump. Jesus Christ, Maddie. Guys, thank you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Stay tuned. Top of the hour, Hockey Happy Hour. Maddie will still be on the couch. Take care, guys.